Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody is having a fantastic November 2nd. And today we are continuing the conversation about technology and the transportation and logistics industry. You are listening to Freight Be Moving, All Things Logistics with me, Jewel Williams. And I want to thank you for taking the time out today to come and check out my podcast or video, however you're checking this out. They are on both channels. You can check it on YouTube. It's available on Spotify and Apple, and soon to be out on the rest of the platforms. So I want to get busy today because I want to make this nice, sweet, and click. And today we're going to be talking about the technology by Shippeo is the company. This article that I'm going to be reading from is coming out of the Journal of Commerce. And the article came out on October 25th, 2022, so it is fairly recent. And we're going to be just discussing what is Shippeo doing in the industry, how is it changing the landscape, and where does it fit in all of the mix. So Shippeo investment, a sign that visibility, not yet a winner, takes all market is the headline by Eric Johnson, Senior Technology Editor over at the Journal of Commerce. So the article reads, transportation visibility provider Shippeo has landed a $40 million venture funding round as investments into the space continued to be stirred by memories of pandemic-induced supply chain upheaval. The latest round, announced Monday into Paris-based Shippeo, is a sign that investors broadly believe there is not yet a single dominant multimodal supply chain visibility player, despite Project 44 raising more than $240 million in funding in January. Niche providers, Notability, Vision, which focuses on ocean and marine terminal visibility data, raised $14 million as recently as July, despite a venture funding market that has slowed considerably from its 2021 highs. Shippeo has made a concentrated effort over the last year to tackle the North American market, largely with designs on unseating Project 44 and 4Kites as the de facto providers in the region. The funding announced this week increases the total invested into Shippeo to $110 million, and the company said it will use the cash to ramp up its global expansion, particularly in the North American and Asian Pacific regions. The company said in a statement that it has seen subscription revenue grow 80% year over year through September, while it has added 150 global enterprise-level customers, including Coca-Cola European's bottling subsidiary, Renault, AkzoNobel, Philip Morris International, and Jaguar Land Rover. The company also tied up a strategic partnership with supply chain software provider E2 Open this year to integrate its intermodal visibility data into E2 Open's planning and transportation management tools. Shippeo has long sought to differentiate itself in the market by focusing on the use of visibility data to minimize transportation-related carbon emissions for shippers, while another area of emphasis has been around data privacy, given the company's roots in Europe and that region's restrictive General Data Protection Regulation, also known as GDPR requirements. Shippeo has managed to achieve a market leadership position with comparatively lower funding and better cash efficiency versus some of their direct competitors due to strong leadership and the highly capable team they've attracted. Michael Brown, general partner at Battery Ventures, which led the round into Shippeo, said in the statement. There it is. Now, what is Shippeo doing as far as adding value, and how is that making a difference anywhere? Now, I went to their website, And here is just some quick statistics that they're claiming on their website. They're saying that they are tracking 28 plus million loads per year. Huge. In addition, they are connected to 875 plus TMS and telematrix systems and more than 150,000 carriers. And they are tracking in 92 countries. Now, this is huge. Now, Business Wire made an article with them, and let me bring this in a little bit. These old eyes need this to be grandiose. So, Business Wire had an article, and this one dates back to July 5th, 2022. So it's not that old. There is no author, but it says down here at the bottom just some background on what Shippeo does. So Shippeo is a global leader in real-time multimodal transportation visibility, helping major carriers and logistics service providers operate more collaborative, automated, sustainable, profitable, and customer-centric supply chains. This is made possible with highly accurate real-time operational visibility and perfect workflow orchestration. Their multimodal visibility network integrates with more than 875 TMS, telematrix, and ELD systems. There we go. If you want to know more about them ELDs, APIs, I talked about them in another video in another podcast. I think it was episode 4, so check that out. So telemetric and ELD systems, enabling Shippeo's platform to provide instant access to real-time shipment tracking across all transport modes in a single portal through an initiative user experience. Through an intuitive user experience. My bad. A proprietary and industry-leading machine learning algorithm offers unmatched ETA accuracy, allowing supply chain companies to completely anticipate problems, proactively alert customers, effectively manage expectations with collaborative workflows, and accurately measure CO2 and GHG emissions from supply chain transport. Interesting. Hundreds of customers, including global brands like Coca-Cola, HBC, Carryfold, Renault Group, Schneider Electric, Total, Faurecia, Saint Gobain, and Equis Granani, trust Shippeo to track more than 28 million shipments per year across 75 countries. Learn more at Shippeo. Those are some huge statistics that they're talking about, some huge numbers. But I see the trend here, and I hope you're paying attention. If you've been listening to these for the last few days, what you see here is investors pouring money into Project 44, into Shippeo, because shippers want to see. They want to see. And I'm going to read to you a couple of things as to why shippers want to see. What is the purpose of a shipper wanting to see? So, if most of you follow Reddit or go on Reddit, I do. And I've definitely been going on there in the last couple of days because I've been very nosy about what is going on in the community. And so I gotta get my screen up here so I can read to you what I want to read to you. So what I did is I just took a couple of screenshots. And here's some of the questions that were popping up in the broker, freight broker, supply chain management discussion boards. This particular one, 2 stops missing POD, proof of delivery. Person writes, so carrier cannot provide the proof of delivery for the first stop, only the second. Has anyone had this happen? What is the process? I assume we have every right to file a lost shipment claims. First receiver claims they did not receive the load. First receiver claims they did not receive the load. So what is that saying? I mean, if your customer is expecting freight, your carrier told you they don't have a proof of delivery, your shipper says they didn't receive the freight. So for you as a broker, you've got two problems. And now you don't know how to fix it because you didn't have any eyes or any way to be visible with that shipment other than a phone call. Once that got picked up and left, visibility's gone. So that's the first proof of evidence why customers want visibility. Where is my shipment? All right. The second one is, all right, this one says, I had a load that was to pick up by a carrier and deliver at 0500. And all day they gave me the runaround, stating the weather conditions were too bad and the trailer brakes were frozen. Long story short, they were lying and they never had a guy for today to deliver this load. Now, I will have to find another power only to deliver this load. They pretty much got it all the way to the receiver, which 40 miles left to deliver on a 750-mile commute. Then they asked, what is a fair deduction for the carrier? The receiver has lost over 50 plus hours of labor on another third party to offload and set up the equipment for the event. 50 plus hours of labor. Now that could be 10 people working 5-hour shifts. That could be 5 people working 10-hour shifts. That could be one person working a full week. You could, make it up. Either way, that's lost production time. That shipper cannot get back. And their customer is now delayed. And you see this ripple effect that can just push all the way through the system. Now, what Shippeo and Project 44 are wanting to minimize is this right here, this communication. Because as I said yesterday, and you can go and check that out, when I talked about Project 44 and them using Unilever using their software system. And the reason for that is things like this. You got a production line that needs to go. You got something that needs to be made. Inventory is money. Somebody makes an order. That order is money. And the money doesn't get released until the order is produced. So a lot of times companies are manufacturing on credit. And so if this right here order was supposed to get there and it didn't show up, the money doesn't show up. And you can't make the product to make the rest of the money. So now you bought that inventory. You bought that inventory for $1,000. You borrowed the money to buy it because that's how most businesses operate. Most businesses just do not have all the funds to purchase with cash, so they borrow the money. Well, if interest rates are up like they are right now, you are paying interest on a product you don't have because you dealt with a broker that didn't have their act together, because they dealt with a carrier that wasn't validated, that wasn't verified, that they just threw something at just because they wanted to make a commission. And all the while, who loses at the end of the day? The biggest loser in this transaction is the shipper and the receiver, because both of these organizations have borrowed money and now they can't recoup it. They've now got to spend more time, energy, and effort for this one situation because of two people in a transaction. So you just can't beat this with a stick. Here's the last one. And this one is rejected pallets at delivery. Now this happened a while ago. So I think it's about a year ago. So they claim that the rejected pallets at delivery and returned to shipper, driver lost the bill of lading. The bill of lading is the most important document there is. And you got drivers being that careless, that's a problem. So here's what they wrote. I had a load delivered to the distribution center, and they rejected 2 pallets stating it was not a part of the order. They left the 2 pallets in the trailer and told him to leave, him being the driver. The carrier went ahead and picked up a different load with the 2 pallets in the trailer. The delivery was nearby to the original shipper and went back to the shipper and got them unloaded. Now, it sounds like they figured out that the pallets belonged to them and that they needed to get that driver back over there. So carelessness on the receiving part. You're wasting people's time, people's money. The problem is when the driver, he showed up, he didn't have any bill of lading. He lost it at some point after he delivered, so the shipper had to use the one they had after they loaded him. So the copy of the BOL we have now has nothing on it stating the load was delivered. There was rejected pallets or anything by the receiver at all saying it was received. So in other words, as I'm reading this, I'm having to interpret this. Communication. I'm a communications major. You've got to send this message and information clearly. And programming a computer to communicate what's necessary, you do it once. So these are things as freight brokers definitely have to pay attention to. How are you communicating this information so that your parties, your stakeholders involved in the situation can make strategic decisions? You got to be clear. So going on, the carrier also took it upon themselves to pick up another load back to the original shipper location and return the pallets back to the shipper before I had any time of approval from my customer on how we were supposed to proceed with the rejected pallets, the requested pictures and copy of the BOL, which the driver did not supply. The carrier is now requesting additional compensation for returning the pallet, which I do understand. No, wrong answer. However, in my customer's eyes, we never gave the go-ahead on how to proceed because the driver was not cooperating with our request. Once we heard the pallets were rejected at the delivery, the driver took it upon themselves to return them himself. What do I do in this situation? This was about a 400-mile run, and the carrier did not run the 2 pallets back empty. He took another load. He had a line haul going back up there. My thinking is I should have to pay him a redelivery fee. However, since he lost the BOL, there is nothing stating that the receiver even accepted/rejected the product. All since this was a DC delivery, whenever I try to call the receiver, I get no answer, or the guy who answers is a complete jerk and doesn't want to help. So basically, the whole situation is a mess. Any insight? You know, I feel for the person who wrote this. However, if you are running a brokerage firm, a freight brokerage business, if you are working in the freight brokerage business, and it sounds to me that this individual is working by themselves because they're reaching out into the social media community to ask for help. And I understand, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, that communication was a mess. It was a complete mess. Now, this is how this communication should have or could have been improved. When that freight was picked up, why wasn't a copy of that bill of lading sent to the broker? Or why didn't that broker have a copy? Why didn't that driver screenshot that bill of lading so that there was a digital copy? So that if another copy needed to be printed off, it could have been. Was 2001. We are in the age of photographs. Also, when you are communicating with that shipper, send me a copy by email so I can have a copy for myself. They have a digital copy on their program. It should be easy to duplicate that. Have those records backed up and secured. What type of tracking systems are you using with these drivers? They have ELDs in their systems. So Shippeo and Project 44 are connecting to that somehow. Freight brokers need to be doing the same thing. Freight brokers must be maintaining some type of checks and balances. Military, and one of the first things we learned, CYA, cover your, ask. So there is a lot of reasons why companies like Shippeo have an opportunity to come into the market and take over. There's a lot of reasons why Project 44. I go back to the fact that inventory is money, and it is usually borrowed money. And if you have people out here making these very expensive mistakes, they are very expensive mistakes. It is costing companies too much money. And if it's a small shipper, if it's a shipper that they don't have that much capital to begin with, and they're trying to make an impression on, say, a bigger company like Unilever or Coca-Cola, they're in jeopardy of losing their contract, their business. This is all about livelihood, and everybody must be working together like this. Like this. Not stray birds. So I hope this information was helpful. You see another piece of technology that's coming on board. I'm giving my opinions in all of this because it is important, I think, for people to understand. As I'm a freight broker, how I handle my business, my customer gives me a shipment. The first thing I'm going to do is I want copies of the bills. Why? Because I'm going to back them up. And when that driver comes and goes and picks up that load, the first thing I'm going to do is ask that driver, do you have an ELD? Because I need to make sure that I'm getting information from you. I'm going to do these things. And that's how business has got to be done. You got to be on top of it at all times. All right, everybody. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you got something valuable about this. And if you're a broker out there and you're trying to figure out how to do better, hey, I hope I'm helping you out. We got to do better. We got to make this happen. We got to work as a team and collaborate. All right. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace and love.